Hello, beautiful patrons. I hope your week has been good and that your new week is off to a great start. If you remember from Wednesday night's video, we're discussing the idea of happiness. And in particular, we're discussing whether or not our pursuit of happiness is actually making us miserable. My contention is that it is. In many ways, it actually does make us miserable, and of course causes us to miss out on the here and now and what we can actually enjoy in the moment. So what are we talking about when we talk about happiness? Well, the definition of it is pretty simple. The definition of happiness is a mental or emotional state of well-being. It's something that is positive. It is something that is pleasant, a pleasant emotion, a positive emotion, and it can range, according to the dictionary, from anything such as contentment all the way to what the dictionary describes as intense joy. That sounds interesting. So, happiness is a mental or emotional state. But what about this word happiness? I looked just a little bit deeper, did just a little bit of reading, a little bit of research on the word happiness. It goes way back, of course. The European origins of the word happiness go back to about the 14th century. And oddly enough, the European origin of the word happiness is really a lot closer to our modern word of luck. Things turning out well. That was lucky. So thus, things turning out well made you happy. Things turning out well gave you a mental or emotional state of well-being, of happiness, contentment to intense joy. So once again, this concept of happiness is tied to something external. A business adventure turned out well. There was a near miss in an accident and you were not injured where you could have been. A relationship that you thought was in jeopardy instead revived. The ending turned out to be happy, and you feel lucky about that. You feel contentment, happiness, some type of intense joy. So, is it any wonder that when we take this English word happiness, this idea of happiness being contingent upon things turning out well, and we bring it into our modern society, and when I say modern, let's back up a little bit and let's understand that the pursuit of happiness is actually embedded within the United States Declaration of Independence. The pursuit of happiness is on the same level, within the same sentence, as not just liberty, the ability to be free, to have free will, to make your own decisions, but the pursuit of happiness is listed as one of the rights equal to life, actually being able to be alive, to maintain your vitality, your life, to stay alive, survival. So is it any wonder that in our modern times, we have developed this philosophy that happiness comes from making things work out. Not just working harder, but working smarter. All these ideas, they're sold to us in a million different ways every day. If you go into the bookstore, there is a huge self-help section in any bookstore that is basically preaching this message, that happiness comes from making things work out, and this is the smarter way to, quote unquote, work. But it's an emotional state. It's a mental state. The problem has been that we've always allowed outside circumstances to dictate whether or not we were in the mental or emotional state of happiness, because that's how it naturally works. It is a byproduct of circumstances, and that's okay. Obviously, that has been evolutionarily beneficial for it to be that way. But now we understand more about our nervous systems. We understand more about the complexity of our lives. We understand more about our emotional states. Since we do, I would then propose that since it is an emotional state, that we actually have more control over those mental and emotional states than what we give ourselves credit for. That is not to say that we should not work hard or work smart to complete a project and thus feel the contentment or the intense joy that comes from a job well done and for things turning out well. And obviously, whenever there are the near misses in our lives and we turn out to be unharmed, or we turn out to win the lottery, whatever that lucky circumstance is, obviously we should and we will naturally enjoy it. But do we have to wait on these other things? And what I propose to you is that no, we do not have to wait on these other things. Yes, happiness is a byproduct of circumstances turning out well, but at the same time, it is an emotional state that we have more control over than we give ourselves credit for. That's where we need to dig down a little deeper. We need to look at what we actually do have control over and how it is that we control it. If we don't always have control over our emotional states, many times we do have control over the situations that produce the emotional states. That's where we're going to dig a little deeper next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being part of this online community. We consider you family. And above all, as always, say it with me, thank you